It was a hot August afternoon in Louisville, Kentucky, 1970. Muhammad Ali had just returned to his hometown after 3 years of being banned from boxing for refusing to fight in Vietnam. His conviction had just been overturned by the Supreme Court, and he wanted to celebrate with his family. Ali decided to take his parents, his wife Belinda, and his 2 young daughters to lunch at the Carriage House, one of the nicest restaurants in Louisville. It was known for its Southern cooking and elegant atmosphere. The beautiful old building with white columns sat on a prime downtown corner. The restaurant was owned by Richard Garrison, a wealthy businessman from old Kentucky money. His family had owned the building for generations, and they had served Louisville's elite for over 30 years. When Ali and his family walked through the front door that afternoon, the young white hostess at the podium looked up, and her smile immediately disappeared. She didn't greet them. She just stared. Ali smiled warmly. "Table for 6, please. I called ahead for a reservation under Muhammad Ali." The hostess glanced nervously toward the back of the restaurant. "I'm sorry, but we don't have any tables available." Ali looked around. The restaurant was only half full. There were clearly empty tables. "That's fine," Ali said patiently. "We can wait. My reservation was for 1 o'clock." "I'm sorry, but all of our tables are reserved today." Ali's father stepped forward. He'd lived in Louisville his whole life. He knew exactly what was happening. "Young lady, just say what you mean to say." Before she could respond, a man in his 50s wearing an expensive suit walked over. This was Richard Garrison himself. "Is there a problem here?" Garrison asked, looking directly at Ali. "No problem," Ali said calmly. "We have a reservation. We'd like to be seated." Garrison looked Ali up and down, then glanced at Ali's family. His expression hardened. "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone," Garrison said coldly, "and we're refusing service to you. I suggest you leave before I call the police." "Why? What's the reason?" "You know the reason," Garrison replied. "This is a family establishment. We serve a certain clientele. You wouldn't fit in here." Ali's mother grabbed her husband's arm, sensing his anger rising. Ali's daughters looked confused and scared. "I'm Muhammad Ali. I'm a world champion boxer. I'm from Louisville. This is my family. What exactly about us doesn't fit?" Garrison leaned in closer. "I don't care if you're the president. I don't serve your kind here. Now get out of my restaurant before I have you thrown out." The entire restaurant had gone silent. Everyone was watching. Some looked uncomfortable. Some looked angry at Ali for causing a scene. Others looked away, embarrassed. Ali stood there for a long moment, looking Garrison directly in the eyes. Then he smiled. Not a happy smile, but a knowing smile. "Okay," Ali said simply. "We'll leave." His father started to protest, but Ali gently touched his shoulder. "It's okay, Daddy. Let's go." As they turned to leave, Garrison called after them loud enough for everyone to hear, "And don't come back." Ali paused at the door, looked back, and said something nobody would forget. "Don't worry. When I come back, you won't even recognize this place." The Ali family went to a small black-owned diner a few blocks away, where they were welcomed with open arms. But Ali was quiet during lunch. His mind was working. That evening, Ali made several phone calls, one to his lawyer, another to his financial advisor, a third to a real estate agent. By midnight, Ali had a plan.
It turned out the Carriage House was struggling financially. Despite its reputation, Richard Garrison had been making poor business decisions for years. The building was deeply in debt. Garrison owed over $300,000 to various creditors, and the bank was preparing to foreclose. Ali contacted Garrison's creditors and made them an offer. He would pay off all of Garrison's debts immediately in exchange for ownership of the carriage house building and business. The creditors, thrilled to get their money back, agreed. The paperwork moved quickly. Within 10 days, Ali owned the carriage house. Garrison didn't know what was happening until he received a letter from his bank informing him that his debts had been paid off and the property now belonged to Muhammad Ali. Garrison immediately called the number on the letter, furious. "This is some kind of mistake," Garrison shouted. "You can't just buy my restaurant." "Actually, I can," Ali replied calmly, "and I did. Your creditors were happy to sell. Everything was legal. But listen, Richard, I want you to come to the restaurant next Monday, 1 p.m. You and your entire staff. There's something I need to say to all of you." That Monday, Richard Garrison and his entire staff of 17 people gathered in the carriage house dining room. They were shocked to find the restaurant had been transformed over the weekend. The old Confederate memorabilia was gone. The photos of white Louisville socialites were replaced with portraits of black leaders, artists, and athletes. And sitting at the center table, in the exact spot where he'd been refused service 2 weeks earlier, was Muhammad Ali. Ali stood as the staff filed in. They looked terrified. They knew they were about to lose their jobs. The young hostess who had turned Ali away was crying. "Thank you for coming," Ali began. "I know you're all scared. I know you think I brought you here to fire you and humiliate you the way I was humiliated. And I'll be honest, part of me wanted to do exactly that." The staff members looked at each other nervously. Garrison stood in the back, his face red with anger and shame. "But that's not who I am," Ali continued. "See, I could have thrown all of you out on the street. I could have made you feel as small as you made me and my family feel. But that wouldn't change anything. That would just make me like you." He paused, letting those words sink in. "So here's what's going to happen. This restaurant is staying open. Most of you are keeping your jobs, but things are changing. First, this restaurant will serve everyone. I don't care what color they are, what religion they practice, where they come from. If they can pay for a meal, they eat here." He looked directly at Garrison. "Second, we're hiring black staff, not just in the kitchen, but as servers, managers, hosts. This restaurant is going to look like the real Louisville." Some staff members started to relax slightly, but Ali wasn't finished. "Third, all of you are going to attend civil rights training sessions. You're going to learn about the history of segregation. You're going to learn about the civil rights movement. You're going to learn why what happened to me and my family was wrong." He looked at each person in the room. "If you complete the training and show me you've learned something, if you can treat every customer with dignity and respect, you keep your job. If you can't or don't want to do that, you can leave right now. No hard feelings." The room was silent. The young hostess raised her hand timidly. "Mr. Ali, I'm so sorry. I was just doing what Mr. Garrison told me to do, but that's no excuse. What I did was wrong, and I felt sick about it every day since."
Ali walked over to her. She looked terrified. Instead of yelling, he put his hand on her shoulder, gently. "What's your name?" he asked. "Jenny Morrison." "Jenny, how old are you?" 22. "You were raised here in Louisville?" She nodded. "Then you were raised in a system that taught you to think and act the way you did," Ali said. "That doesn't make it right, but it means you can unlearn it. That's what this training is about. Can you do that?" Jenny nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, sir. I promise I'll try." "That's all I ask," Ali said, "that everyone try." He turned back to the group. "One more thing. Mr. Garrison, you're fired. Not because I hate you,
but because I don't believe you can change. You've had your whole life to be better, and you chose not to be." Garrison's face went purple. "You have no right." "I have every right," Ali interrupted. "It's my restaurant now. But I'm not leaving you with nothing. I'm giving you $60,000. Take the money, leave Louisville, and think about the kind of man you want to be." Garrison stood there, humiliated in front of his former employees. He took the check Ali offered and left without another word. He moved to Florida 3 weeks later and was never seen in Louisville again. Ali completely transformed the carriage house. He hired Dorothy Williams, a black woman with decades of restaurant experience who had never been allowed to work in a place like this because of her race. Under her leadership, the restaurant thrived. The civil rights training sessions ran for 6 weeks. Ali brought in speakers from the NAACP, former freedom riders, and local black community leaders. Out of 17 original staff members, 15 completed the training. 2 left voluntarily. But something remarkable happened during those 6 weeks. The staff members who stayed began to genuinely change. They heard stories from black customers about being refused service. They learned about Louisville's segregation history. They started to understand the real impact of racism. Jenny Morrison became one of the program's biggest advocates. She not only completed the training, but volunteered with local civil rights organizations. Years later, she became a teacher and incorporated civil rights education into her curriculum. The new carriage house opened its doors to everyone 1 month after Ali took ownership. On opening day, there was a line around the block. Black families who had never been allowed inside came to eat. The local news covered it. It became a symbol of change in Louisville. Ali used the restaurant as a platform for community events. He hosted fundraisers for local schools in black neighborhoods. He gave jobs to young black people who needed work experience. He made the carriage house a place where the entire Louisville community could come together. 10 years later, Jenny Morrison was managing the evening shift when an elderly black couple came in for their 50th anniversary. Jenny personally served them, gave them the best table, and comped their meal. After they left, Jenny found a note with a generous tip. "Thank you for treating us like human beings. We've lived in Louisville our whole lives and have never been welcomed in a place this nice. This meant the world to us." Jenny kept that note in her wallet for the rest of her life. She said it reminded her why Ali's lesson was so important. Ali eventually sold the carriage house in 1985, but he made sure it went to an owner who would continue his vision. The restaurant operated successfully until 1998. When it closed, the building was converted into a community center that still serves Louisville today.
There's a plaque on the building now that reads, "On this site, Muhammad Ali turned hatred into hope, revenge into redemption, and a symbol of division into a place of unity. He proved that the best response to being pushed down is to lift others up." In 2015, a year before Ali died, he received a letter from Jenny Morrison, now in her 60s and retired from teaching. She thanked Ali for changing her life. She wrote about how his kindness, when he could have been cruel, had opened her eyes to her own prejudice. She wrote about the hundreds of students she had taught about civil rights and equality over the years. She ended with these words, "You could have destroyed me that day, Mr. Ali. Instead, you saved me. You showed me that people can change if someone believes they're worth saving. Thank you for believing I was worth saving." Ali kept that letter on his desk until the day he died. The story of the carriage house isn't just about Muhammad Ali buying a restaurant. It's about the choice we all face when someone hurts us. We can hurt them back,
or we can try to heal the wound that made them hurtful in the first place. Muhammad Ali chose healing. He chose to turn a place of exclusion into a place of welcome. He chose to educate instead of destroy. He chose to believe that people could change, even when they'd given him every reason not to. And in doing so, he proved that true strength isn't about how hard you can punch. It's about how you respond when you've been knocked down. It's about standing up not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. That's the real championship. That's what made Muhammad Ali the greatest. If this story of turning hatred into hope and choosing grace over revenge moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that change is possible, that forgiveness is power, and that the best revenge is becoming someone so good that your enemies can't help but become better too. Let us know in the comments about a time when someone's kindness changed your perspective. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more inspiring true stories about Muhammad Ali and other legends who changed the world one act of grace at a time.